Hey, Maddie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rick. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, good to finally meet you as well. We've been back and forth a bit.
Yeah, I know.
Which I think it's like that in business clubs when you kind of use the networking apps and stuff. You feel like you know all these people because you post, like any social media.
See 'em, yeah.
You post so much, you never see them. But we connected on Instagram and you're a bit of an action junkie, I think. I don't know if anyone calls you that, but...
In a previous life, yeah. I feel like the suit and tie is a little bit deceiving now, but yeah.
So you've come from Katoomba today?
Yeah, I usually crash in Sydney. I've got a little bit of a crash pad here, but yeah, I live in Katoomba currently.
Is that like the country or do you call yourself country people or is that we're mountain people?
I'm definitely a country person. I'm from Bathurst, so it definitely qualifies as a country gal, but I actually grew up in the Blue Mountains and then did all primary school there and then moved to Bathurst, and then after that was screwing around for like 11 years, but now moved back to the Blue Mountains. I'm not quite keen to go all the way back to Bathurst, but the Blue Mountains are good sort of hybrid between city and country, I guess.
So I've only been to Katoomba once so far, but I've got a forced visit on 11th of November to go to court.
Oh no.
And I don't know if many people have been to Katoomba court, so I'll report back on what it's like.
Let me know. Yeah.
But,
if you need support.
Yeah, well, I've got a lawyer now, but that was the support I needed. So me and my wife don't get away a lot. We've got an 18-month-old, right? So it's a bit hard to get away. Mm-hmm. So we decided we're going to leave her at my mum's house for the night and we're going to go up the mountains. And I don't have a car license. So we head up there and it was raining, mountains, and I said, let me drive. She hates we were driving my car, not hers. So anyway, I get caught driving unlicensed in Katoomba.
Oh, dude, yeah, I was going to say no license for someone whose whole office is kitted out with car stuff.
It goes with the part, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I got pulled over and the story's not exciting, but now I've got to go to court again in Katoomba. So, but I actually get my license back before going to court to lose it again. So I've got like 2 or 3 weeks of...
Just make the most of it.
Yeah, make
the
the
most
most of it, yeah.
It's just going to put...
Well, I've got a nice drive
on.
up to Katoomba.
It is beautiful.
Might stay the night,
Yeah, it's hard for me to feel bad for you, man. Yeah. Sorry.
So I have only been once, but pretty small place. Why there? How come you decided to go there?
It's my family's still in Bathurst. It's halfway there. It's close to the city. I'm not a coast girl. So Wollongong, Central Coast, just not interested. I'm a mountains girl. It's so beautiful. I love it out there. I need well, you know what it was? I went to a wedding mid last year, and you get like little party favors when you go. I got given a little bag of wildflower seeds, and I went to leave. Mum's like, don't forget your wildflower seeds. And I was like, bitch, I live in a concrete jungle. Like, I have nowhere to put this. I have no grass. And so at that point, I was like, I miss this. And my parents, like where I grew up, it was on like 16-acre property, and just like not being able to look out my window and see grass really made me depressed. And then my partner and I both ride motorbikes, and we were living in Rozelle, and we just had our bikes out on the street in the rain. So he really wanted a shed. So that was another part of it. You get like double the house with a garden and a shed for half the money.
Yeah, is anyone talking about the housing crisis in Katoomba? Because I often say that's like it's a city problem, right? But I mean, there's more than enough land and houses.
No, it's still pretty bleak. Like if you look for houses for sale, I think in the whole Blue Mountains is like 400, but for rent there's like 40. There was like nothing. We applied for our rental because we're renting currently. We applied for that with sight unseen. I got my mum to stop in on her way through and was like, is it half decent? She was like, yeah. I was like, all right, we'll apply.
Okay, so there's probably heaps of land, but not enough houses to go around.
Yeah, and even the land is still like $700K for a block, and I don't know.
Maybe it's that little bit too close to Sydney still.
Yes, I think I think there's a lot of people that have moved either to like Wollongong or Central Coast or the Blue Mountains to still do a Sydney commute, Sydney run. It's not that bad. It's only an hour and a half. So on the worst day, you could do it down and back in a day, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so growing up in Bathurst, so I grew up in Canberra, and I always say Canberra's just a big country town.
Yeah, it is.
And it's funny because it kind of shapes who you are where you grow up, right? And you said you're not a coast person. It's because you didn't grow up on the coast. And so I'm sure there's a million things that shape, I guess what you enjoy doing now. But I thought action sports are one of them. You're saying that's an old version of you, but the skiing and the motorbikes. And...
Well, yeah, I don't know that the skiing came from being in Bathurst. It's a bit, counterintuitive. But my family are not... I love them to bits, but they are the least athletic family you've ever met in your life. And we used to go skiing when I was really young. Actually, it was another family that just brought us on a family trip, and I just got hooked immediately. The rest of my family just hated it. They were just there because it was a holiday, but I loved it. And then it just kind of, it got me. I was probably like 6 when I first skied, and I knew I wanted to do that. From there until I graduated high school, I was like, I'm going to be a skier.
And you still do it now?
I did go this season. I went for a day. Actually, did myself a favor. It was like 2020. So I was a professional skier for the later part of that.
Oh, you went all in.
Ski life. Yeah, I really did. I was an instructor at the beginning, and then that got kind of boring, and I discovered like park skiing, so slope style jumps and rails and tricks and stuff. And when that whole thing wound down, I mean, I was like 29 and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I did one season too many and really burnt myself out. But it's kind of good in hindsight because I think if I hadn't, I'd always feel like, oh, I should have done that one.
Might have been more in the tank.
Yeah, but a good thing I got like 3 weeks into that last season and I was like, I hate this. And I felt really alone, which is so weird when you've done 11 years and then you're like, why am I here? I feel like I don't fit in anymore. And so I stopped.
Do you think that was an age thing? Maybe you start questioning what the
Definitely.
next phase of your life is like?
A little. I don't think I was necessarily questioning that. It was more that I just didn't feel like I belonged anymore. And I'm not much of a party girl, which I'm actually like covered head to toe in like tattoos and was a skier for a little. Like people would think I wasn't. And everyone's just drinking and screwing around and partying. And it's just not what I wanted to do anymore. But the interesting thing there, what happened when I stopped and then went into my professional life, I was where people are at the age of like 20, but being 29. And that was really hard, was trying to figure out like who I am if I'm not a skier. It was kind of hard.
I had that conversation with a friend recently, and social media is terrible for this because it, like you were saying, you're 29 feeling like you were a 20-year-old was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we get shown this persona of what other people's lives are. And I think right now a lot of people feel that with buying houses. Everyone's got someone younger than them or in a different position than them that owns house, and they feel like, I don't. How come I don't yet? I should buy now. But I think that's a big part of it because you also, at 29, probably had so many more experiences and fun that you'll never get to do again in life that they haven't.
Yeah, I had my younger sister had a baby quite young, and she's like the GM of my mum's company, and they bought another business together or whatever. But she said something like that. She's like, I could tell she's got a little bit of like FOMO or whatever. Like felt like I had a lot of opportunities and a lot of experiences that I don't. Like I haven't had a holiday in a really long time, and I don't even feel that hungry for one. I actually really enjoy what I'm doing in my life right now, and it doesn't like detract from me or wear me out. And I think maybe it's because I had like an 11-year long holiday to start my adult life. Yeah, a huge gap year. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I often say I'm the last person that'll have a midlife crisis. And I think the same for you because I was similar in the way that I just kind of did what I wanted to. And it all led towards, I knew someday there was an end goal. But, you kind of got to seize the opportunity. And if you didn't do that skiing part of your life, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah,
I missed out on.
I can't imagine everything I did. Like I worked retail. My life for 11 years was I did the Australian season, June to October. Then from October to about January, I worked retail in Sydney. And then I did January to like March in the States, and then I did March to June in retail in Sydney, and then did the season again. So I moved like 4 times a year, every year for 11 years. And yeah, I think I just got really lucky that I never had parents that were like, maybe you should do something else. I just could do whatever I wanted to. But I so remember being in Colorado once, and I remember this like bright moment, and I was like, I'm never going to feel like this again once I stop skiing. But my only responsibility in life is to feed myself and to do my washing. And that was it. I had no other responsibilities. And I was like 25, 26 or something.
So when you're traveling like that for sport, who takes care of that? Who like pays for booking flights and accommodation? And
I did. Yeah. So I did. I would work in between seasons. Yeah. I just would say.
That's going to be tough.
It was. Yeah. I did like retail. I'd work like 9 to 5, 9 to 6 in a retail shop in the city that doesn't exist anymore, and then come home and work at a pub in the evenings. I remember like in between, I'd be like eating cold pizza on a bike, riding to my next job just so I could make enough money. It's like everything I did was to go skiing. Everything was aligned for that one goal. And now, ironically, you're like, you still skiing? I'm like, no, not really.
You know what? When you were saying that, I was thinking that what you were just explaining, how you were going to work and hustling away to get yourself back on a ski slope, wherever that was in the world, that's an entrepreneur.
It's
it wasn't growing a company, but you were growing a sport in your career. And
yeah. Well, funnily enough, I did a lot of really cool things during my career. Like I wanted to make a movie, and we made this film that was like the first of its kind, and it was totally female made. It had female riders in it. We were in Japan. It was all street riding, so trying to find handrails and rails in the streets, and was shot all by women, and then edited by women. And I think we even used music that was only produced by women. So And it was like the first of its kind. And then that was really fun. And I produced that whole thing. I found sponsors. I put together pitch decks. I like went and found people. And so I think there are flashes of me being quite entrepreneurial through that. And I loved it. Like I loved having that kind of a position within the industry where I felt like I was making an impact in a way. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, being creative. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs are creative, right? Not necessarily in like a design point of view, but it's that that thought process of creating something. You know, you create a business or you're creating a movie or, you know, the things you had to put in place to create a ski career. I mean, especially in Australia, I mean, we're lucky in the way that you can ski and ride motorbikes and do summer sports and winter sports a few months apart and not have to move houses, especially if you're living in the mountains. It's all there, right? Growing up in Canberra, you're either riding your motorbike in snow or skiing for a part of the year, and then the rest it's 40 degrees, you know.
Yeah.
So that's fortunate, but it does mean that, you know, if you're trying to chase that one season forever, you've got to do what you had to do.
Yeah. But when you're young and you're hungry and you're excited, I feel like you just do what it takes to get it done. And if you don't, then you just don't make it. Like it.
Yeah.
I find that the people, even like the best skiers in the world, are just the ones that love it the most. Like it would be raining. We'd have like all these pros come to town for training, these American like pros and stuff, all sponsored by Red Bull, have their Red Bull helmets. And it'd be raining on hill. And I'm like, I'm not going skiing. And then you look out the window and the only ones up there hiking a rail in the rain is the pros. And you're like, they just love it. Like they genuinely just love it more than anyone else. And I wonder how big that, like what is more powerful, like innate skill or like pure passion? Because if you, like skill will get you so far, but you could be less naturally skilled, but you have a higher passion, you'll actually go further because you'll just push through those problems. You'll go out in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, I think both people can succeed to the baseline of professionalism, but the people we remember in history forever for their sport or category or whatever are those ones who weren't just naturally talented but had that grit, you know. So in car racing, obviously, which is my thing, you know, racing in the rain's hard and no one wants to do it if you're in an open wheeler, not in a car, because you get soaking wet. So Formula One cars, for example, you're open, so you're just getting drenched while you're driving them, right? But to get to Formula One, you go-kart the whole way. So I did that for 10 years, go-karting growing up. And when it rained, it was like pack up and go home. But then on a race day, you don't pack up and go home. You have to drive in the rain. So if you weren't one of the people that did that, you lose out. And that's in any sport, it's with those 10% of the time there's that thing that happens that no one else wanted to practice in. That's where the true champions come through. But it's no different in business. It's people being awake all night while everyone's asleep or doing that seventh day for years on end, you know. And so I think having that, sports people, all of them all have that in them as well, same as business people, right? And that's what sets them apart at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like the real business owner mindset. I see so much shit on Instagram of like advice for employees and people look like on a job hunt. And it's always like a bit like, fuck them. Like, if you died tomorrow, they'd replace you. Like, your boss doesn't actually care about you. And I'm like, I mean, I exist only in small, medium business, and all I see are these people who work harder than anyone else. If you only have enough money to pay 4 out of your 5 employees, guess who's not getting paid? It's the owner. Like, the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into running a small business, and then to have people associate that with like a corporate mindset, I'm always like, it's a totally different ball game between those two, between small, medium, and corporate. It's just
it's always a fight. I think it's anything that's kind of divisive, any topic, right? It's normally it's two people on opposite sides of the fence trying to explain why their side's more important. And that happens in employment. It happens everywhere, right? Yeah. So talk to me about coming towards the end of the ski career. That's got to be tough. You said, you kind of felt like you didn't belong. Where did you go from there? What happened when you stopped skiing that last season?
Well, my younger sister, she's my middle sister. She's extremely entrepreneurial, and she knew straight out of school that she wanted to be a business consultant, and she just like fell into this firm and like became this little prodigy. Like I remember her saying she used to turn up to help consult these like multi-million-dollar businesses with owners that are like 55 and stuff, and she'd be in a little P-plater car. And one of them said to her, like, I've been in business longer than you've been alive. What could you possibly have to tell me about business? And she said, you can pay me to talk about my age, or you can pay me to talk about your business. What do you want to do? So she's just like a ball breaker, and she's really amazing, really driven. And I just somehow, it's really weird. I always felt in the back of my head for 11 years that I would just go work with her, even though she had no capacity for me to do that. I just always in the back of my head was always like, when I stop skiing, I'll just go work with Marnie. I'll just figure it out. I'll go work with her. And then, it was actually when COVID hit. I did my last season in 2019 and then COVID hit. And I was in America, actually, when it all happened. And I came back and I landed the day they closed. They moved the day that they brought in the hotel thing. I remember landing and they put that in within like 12 hours. So it happened while I was on the plane. So I was like one of the last people to get into Australia without having to do the hotel quarantine. Ironically, I had COVID. So I like went into, I quarantined all properly, but I like immediately lost my smell and taste. And Marnie at that time was like, I'm so sick of recruiters and recruitment and companies getting screwed by not having a proper process. And she's like, I want to build a recruitment agency. Do you want to come do this with me? And I was like, yep, let's do it. And that's...
So at that point, you weren't in recruitment. You just saw a need and went, we can figure this out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you look at the state of recruitment and recruiting, and you can see pretty easily that there's a big gap to be bridged, and there's a lot of a better way to do it.
I think often some of the best businesses are the ones that were just two people that went, yeah, we can do this better.
Oh, yeah.
You know, obviously there are great businesses of somebody who had a 20, 30, 40-year career and then started their own. It's two different sides of the story. But, you know, when you're faced with fixing something that someone with kind of historical bias hasn't shown you the way we traditionally would fix this thing, and you just kind of apply your own logic and your life experience and go, we'll figure this out. Sometimes that is the best way to start a business.
Yeah, I think I have a business coach and he was saying to me once, there's like 3 reasons someone will go into business. One of them is it's something that they've done for a long time, that they go out and do it themselves. That's how a lot of tradies do it. They're like, oh, I'm a good chippy. I should just go get a ute and do it myself. The next is that there's a problem and they've got a solution. And then the last is like a passion thing. And for Marnie, I think it was a little bit of the latter too. She was like, people are literally the blood of a business, and your business will like live and die by how good your staff are. You will be sleeping at night or not sleeping at night because of it. It could be a single staff member. And one bad hire could completely disrupt your business. And so Marnie being so exposed to business owners, it's just such a clear, like on the nose problem. And then recruiters specifically. I mean, I promised myself I wasn't going to get too ranty about recruiters here today, but
we can let it loose.
Yeah, there's just a lot of problems. Like how many people, I would gamble if you asked 50 people, how do you feel about recruiters? You might get 2 or 3 people that are like, yeah, they're okay. The rest would be like, I hate them.
I hear people trash talk all the time.
They're scum.
Recruiters and marketers.
Yeah, look, fair enough. I can't speak for marketing. It's not my explanation, but yeah, recruiters. Marnie's dream is to go like on a panel and like head-to-head debate with recruiters. I think she's probably like in the shower every day having these like made-up arguments with recruiters. She just hates them so much.
So how did you go? Kind of day one, you just went, okay, we're giving this a crack. What do we do?
Yep, basically, Marnie kind of developed out a process. So like the main difference between how we approach recruitment is we don't work off a database, which is good because we're not industry specific. It's a process that we apply to hiring and screening. They can actually even just be fractioned out, so we can just jump in and help with whatever part. But predominantly, it's mainly about screening. Most people are judging people off a CV or an interview, and there's such limited tools because you can have someone that's amazing that gets nervous in interviews and doesn't interview. It doesn't quote unquote blow you away. And CV is it's such a bullshit way to judge someone. It's a piece of paper, and in these days it's written by an AI. That's just AI passed your ad that was written by AI, and it's just. And so yeah, she built out a process, and for years I was just working off a laptop in my house on the couch, just trying to figure it out, and it's gone through a lot of iterations to try and make it really perfect. She already had like quite a substantial book of clients from her consulting stuff, so we had a really good place to start. And it's just grown, like it's just been organic growth up until this point. So funnily enough, we're now going down more of a path of marketers, but I'm going to keep a really sharp eye out.
We'll keep tabs on that one.
Yeah, I'll report back. Yeah.
It's funny what you said there, because your point is really that the process is important, because you don't want to rule out people from an outlying situation.
No.
You might have the perfect person right in front of you, but you're only doing 3 face-to-face interviews. And if you actually just left them to their own devices, they might solve the problem.
Yeah, I think it's just more like, what are you using to make a decision? And most people are like, I looked at ACV and made a decision. And I'm like, that's a terrible process. That's a terrible process. Or the person convinced me. I think most people have an idea in their mind of what they want. And that can really deter you. Like, you could have like we always talk about this concept of preconceived ideas, like an idea or an opinion that you have about something that's not necessarily based off evidence or usefulness or truth, and it can prevent you from seeing what's in front of you. Like, I'm sure you've heard, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. What a stupid thing. Like, 90% of the candidates we place were not the most expensive. If that were true, then just pick the most expensive candidate. Like, it's not.
Yeah, it's not going to make
so
the best choice.
No, exactly. Or you could have someone didn't wear a suit to an interview, or they're young, so they don't know what they want, or they're old, so they can't pick up a new software, or they didn't come from a related industry, so they're not going to get it. Like, or they remind me of Rick and Rick was shit, so let's not hire him. Or they remind me of Rick and Rick was great, so let's hire him. You're using all these other things to make a decision about this candidate that's in front of you. Like, the only thing that you can do is roll up your sleeves and dig into this person that's in front of you and find out if they're good or not. And that's why I'm not that scared of AI. And I see recruiters promoting that they're using AI, and I'm like, what a joke. I'm so sorry to anybody who is listening that ever hired a recruiter because they promoted how they're using AI in their business. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, a machine's never going to be able to determine a person's value. And I feel like in Australia particularly, a lot of people are really like just inherently racist, and will see like a name that isn't an English name and just be like, I can't be bothered.
100%.
Yeah.
100% that's there.
Yeah. And it's horrible because there's so many that are so amazing. And I find business owners really relate to it a lot, because mostly business owners will go into business because they know that they can do it. They have this attitude and aptitude to push through barriers and problems. And they're like, I'm going to figure it out. Or they keep getting, how many business owners have you met that were like, I just kept getting overlooked. No one would give me the chance. I knew I could do it, but no one took a gamble on me. And so I went and built my own business, and here I am. And I'm like, it's just like they get it, understand that kind of, the attitude and aptitude is the important piece.
Yeah, and I think, for my own journey, I've made a lot of hiring mistakes, but I've only ever hired good people. Just for the wrong jobs.
Yeah, see, context is everything. Context is, that's the other part of it, is you need to understand truly, because a good candidate for me is probably a different candidate for you. If they're too sensitive, or if they're too bossy, like that could be great for me but terrible for you, or vice versa. So it's all about the context as well, which is why when I think about recruiters, I'm like, they don't really have much of a context. Often you're opening an email from a stranger who is saying, I have these great candidates for you. And they know nothing about you. They know nothing about your company. They know nothing about your clients or your team. And they barely know anything about the candidate. You've also got to remember, they have stock that they're trying to sell. That means they don't want to screen the stock, because then they can't sell the stock. So they will always work to make them look better, not actually tell you the warts and all realistic candidate.
Yeah, so one of the problems I've come across is that a lot of the industry does, or maybe it's standard, I don't know, like a 6-month guarantee. If they don't last this long, we have to replace them with somebody else.
Yeah, I think if it's a good recruiter, it'd be 6 months. Yeah,
okay. So I've had that a few times and had to use that. And part of me at the time thought, is this one of those, it's not a money back guarantee, so I can at least guarantee the sale with maybe the wrong recruit, but I've guaranteed the sale and I might just have to find another person. And is that part of what you're saying is a bit broken in the industry?
No, I think guarantees are important. Like, I wish my product was a silver bullet, but unfortunately when you're dealing with human beings, they are like the most frustrating, fickle, selfish, emotional, unpredictable things in the world. I love them to bits, and I love working with people, but it is hard. I had one kid that was like the best hire. My client was so happy, but he was a Mormon kid, and within 3 months he found a girl that he fell in love with. He's like, that's my future wife, but she lived in Adelaide, and because he's Mormon, his dating pool is so small that he's like, okay, I'm gonna go, and he's 19, so I'm gonna go marry her, bye, and just like left and married this girl. And I'm like,
yeah, good.
That's so annoying. So you just like, you can get it absolutely right and it still goes wrong. So yeah, I think the problem with recruiters when it comes to that, because we obviously have a replacement guarantee as well, I want my clients to know that they're buying the hire, not necessarily the candidate that I first give you. And our success rate on a second time round is like 99%. Like, if I don't get it right on the first one, I'll get it right on the second one. But the problem is the recruiters are going back to the same database that they serviced you from the first time. And I heard like I interviewed a girl once that was a recruiter, and she was like, I had this candidate that was perfect for my client. Perfect. But then my boss said, no, that's a replacement role. That candidate's like too good. Don't give him to them. Give it to that role over there because they're paying. So you have these, when you're industry specific, you've got all of these problems. All of your clients are by default competitors and they all want the same thing. So then straight away, because they work off a percentage of salary, which is fucking stupid, they will be like, oh, well, Rick's only giving me 15%, but Bobby down the road's giving me 17%. Even though this candidate would be perfect for Rick, I'm going to sell it to Bobby, collect my 17%. But in 9 months, I'll swing back around, I'll approach him, and then I'll sell it to Rick and get my 15%. So it's like it's really difficult. They're just going back to the same pool, and there's such a conflict of interest there. I have sat in a think tank with recruiters, and I asked the guy, what percentage of your database have you turned over? As in, you've placed a candidate somewhere and then you've taken them and placed them somewhere else again. And he said 100%. Proudly, chest out, good. 100. And then one of the other recruiters.
It's kind of like, is he working for the person
exactly.
or is he working for the client?
Who are they? Yeah, I would argue they don't work for either of them.
Yeah.
They work for themselves. And the crazy thing is, ours is 0%, by the way. I mean, it should go without saying ours is 0. But the crazy thing is that that's pride. That's what they use that as a selling point. Look how good of a recruiter I am. I had one sales meeting with a woman. She was like, yeah, I met with a recruiter like 3 weeks ago, whatever. And he said, I have the perfect person for you. I've placed her 3 times. As a selling point, that's his sales pitch. I'm like, that is mental. They don't even realize how scummy it is because it's just the status quo. That's just how they work.
Yeah, and you're right. If they're charging a fee for salary, every time they replace that person, they've got a better resume, and they know what they're on before, so they're bumping them up every time.
But then also you as a client cannot fucking trust them as far as you can throw them. We had a situation in which we had a client and they engaged us. They also had another recruiter. We both put forward the same candidate to this client. The other recruiter told my client, if you don't pay them $140,000, you are devaluing them. When the candidate told us he'd be happy with 110. 110.
Yeah,
he will tack on, not only cost you an extra $30,000 a year on your payroll, but then charge you more for it. We track how much we save our clients. I'm argue you should pay me more if I get them for less, not the other way around. Why am I paying you for more? And sometimes clients will ring me and be like, what should I pay for this role? And I'm like, you can ask me that, but never ask a recruiter that, because they will always be like, as much as I can get you to pay for it. Actually, I know, Rick, you said you'd be happy with $90,000 to $100,000 salary. It's so weird. All of the candidates want 100. Like, that's so weird. Actually,
I've never thought about that, but you're right, because and if he listens to this, he's a good guy, but you're making me think maybe this was his game, because we had a guy who placed 3 staff with us.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I got uncomfortable at the point that after the first interview, we would never talk about salary in it.
Mm.
And then the conversation would happen between me and the recruiter, almost like he's negotiating on his behalf. And I'm like, but is that even part of the conversation I should be having with you? Like, maybe he was just trying to gauge me to go, how much can I get out of this guy? Then 100%. If I convince this guy to take that much, then I've done the deal.
Yeah. And and that phone call and that push with you could earn him an extra like $8,000 just cause, and they'll do it. It just is such a broken system. Like, when you think about it, it's the definition of a conflict of interest. You are incentivizing someone to spend your money. I remember there's no, and I've tried for so long, I've tried for years to try and find a good analogy of an industry that works like recruitment, and there isn't one. There is no industry that can sell you something and then poach it back and sell it again. It's crazy.
And you're still happy about it.
And then like, oh, yep, that's just the way it is. And I'm like, fuck's sake. Anyway, but when you think about it, well, then what is an ideal candidate for a recruiter? It's someone that is really charming, that interviews really well, that demands a high salary, has a great CV, and who wants to move every 9 to 12 months. That's a recruiter's wet dream, because then they can make $30,000 off them every single year.
Yeah, and they don't want to hunt for their own job, right? So they're going to call back their recruiter, like an agency, and say, hey, I'm ready to move again, or I want to move up the coast or whatever. Find me a spot.
Yep. Yeah. And circles back around that they don't actually want to screen them. Because
so is most candidates coming from a database, or is it from Seek Ads?
For us, we go to markets. Yeah, so it's Seek Ads. So I think the way that people write ads is really shit. Everybody writes ads the same. They're all just a glorified job description. And this is like a little nugget of gold. If anyone's listening and is writing job ads right now, just make it different. Just make it, and don't focus on, okay, so my ethos with this is you've got 3 things with a candidate, all within the context of your business and what you need and want. You need to know what that is before you start searching. But you've got knowledge, which is what do they know, what degree did they do, what training have they done, what softwares can they use. Then you have performance, which is do they get shit done? And then you have personality. We use a personality profile. But out of those 3 things, knowledge, performance, and personality, there's only one thing that you as a business owner can change, and it's the knowledge. The other 2 things are attitude and aptitude, Any business owner will be like, yup, there's nothing you can do to change if they don't have that. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, they're turning up a little bit late or not having the right attitude.
Really
That's ingrained.
Yeah, it's ingrained. If they're too sensitive, whatever. But funnily enough, when everyone talks about hiring, all they talk about is the knowledge. Like, oh, I need somebody with 5 years in a related industry.
I hate that. Must have this much experience. And it's like.
Must have. Isn't that the most arbitrary thing you've ever heard? Must have 3 years of experience. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So if they've only got 2 years and 9 months, they're shit. And if they've got 3 years and 1 month, they're great. Like,
what if they've got 5 years with a terrible employer?
Yeah, like it makes no sense. It's so ridiculous. And yet when people go to market, their ads are always about the knowledge. And so I'm like, no, you need to figure out what the type of person is that you need and want. What can you offer them? And then go to market with that. A really good, and people, and like, be honest, be like brutally honest. Talk about the warts and all. Like, everybody's always writing ads that appeal to like self-centric people. Like, we'll give you a sign-on bonus, or, we have a ping pong table and we do beers on Friday. And it's like, people who are like, I want work from home and I have the right to switch off. Don't you call me after 6? And I want to be getting my raises every year and I want as many bonuses as I can get. And I'm like, don't you want someone that's like, wow, Rick's really cool. I really believe in where he's going. I'm really excited by it. His clients are cool. His staff are amazing. I love being at work. I want to help. I want to grow. I want to look back in 3 years and be like, look what we built, man. That's like, go to market with that angle. Like we had a client that's a venture capitalist. He runs 13 companies, one of which is Rolling Stone. And he'd had 3 EAs quit in like 18 months. He's like a very good businessman, obviously, but he's super blunt, super like such a founder in that he's got a new idea every 5 minutes. So you come in and be like, oh, no, we're not working on that anymore. And you're like, I just spent a month on this. And he's like, throw it out. I don't care. We're doing something else. Like, he's just a million miles an hour, right? And real blunt. And he had 3 women quit. And he came to us and we wrote an ad that said, you'd have to be the highest performing EA in all of Sydney and you are bored and you want the biggest challenge that you can possibly have. And I'll be honest with you, we don't even know if the role can be done because 3 women have quit in the last 18 months. Put that in the ad. And the woman that we got ended up being the GM of one of his companies because she was so big picture thinking. Whereas if I'd written the same old ad that was just EA opportunity to work with a really great Sydney businessman and work with brands like Rolling Stone magazine, you would just got the same girl that couldn't cut it. So being really like brutal and honest and open, it also sets them up for more success. If you tell them this is a really chill role and you get in there and it's not chill, they're going to go, well, this isn't what I signed up for. I'm out of here. Whereas if you're like, this is the hardest job you're ever going to have, they're like, cool, I'm ready. And they get in there and they're like, wow, this is the hardest job I've ever had. Then they're more likely to work out. But people sell, same thing with candidates. Recruiters will do that. Sell you something that they're not. This is the best candidate you'll ever hire. You'd be crazy not to hire them. And then you hire them. You're like, what is this?
Yeah, it's funny because I think people are scared to put themselves out there for what they actually want, and it's like, well, that's why you keep hiring the wrong people. But if you said what you really wanted, so in sales specifically, I've had this conversation a few times. It's like the best like cold callers, like that kind of forcing your way in the door for cold leads. They're not normally the best fit into a team because they're very like self-centered, selfish. Don't really care about what the guy sitting next to him did in the weekend. They just want to get in, make their sales, take commission, go home. And so it's kind of like we want that person, but we don't want to call it that. But if you don't, then you're going to miss the mark. Yeah,
and I would argue sales itself is its own odd little thing because salespeople are inherently kind of self-centric. They want, and you want someone that wants to make money. You want a hungry salesperson who doesn't take no for an answer and doesn't get tripped up and is like, I got hung up on. You want someone that's like, out of my way. I need the room. I need the phone. Give me the phone. Give me the numbers. I'll call them. So but that's the context, right? That circles straight back to context. When you're writing an ad for a sales guy, you'd be like, you are the type that can have 10 doors slammed in your face and you'll still knock on the 11th. Like, you would put that in the ad. So it's all the context of what you need, but then appealing to that person and also being worthy of that person. Because I meet clients and they want something and I'm like, why would somebody like that want to work here? If you were a nuts and bolts, your Barry's nuts and bolts, and you're a team of 8 and you have no desire to grow, we've got our books and we're happy and we still use paper invoicing and and you're like, I want a gun. I'd be like,
yeah, you're not what a gun wants.
Yeah, not what a gun wants. Yeah, so it's being realistic about the context too. Yeah.
Forever in recruiting, they've used, I don't know the term for it, but like personality tests or job tests type things. I know there was a sales recruiter that was trying to get us to adopt this test in our recruiting process. Is that something you adopt as well?
Yeah, we use a personality profile. We use an American one. I've never met anyone in Australia that uses the one that we do. It's called Hirebox. It's an American platform. The reason we use the one that we do is because, and my caveat here is personality profiling is only one aspect, and I never judge a person by it, because I like that it can be something that gives indicators of good and bad, or strengths and weaknesses, however you want to say it, that I can then later reference check. I don't take anything as gospel, because you could have someone that is like really, let's say, super intolerant, really impatient. I don't really have a right to care about whether or not that person is impatient or intolerant at home. I only have a right to care if they are like that at work. So everything that comes through it, I take with a grain of salt until I reference check it. But it can help us. The reason we use the one that we do is I find a lot of profiles are kind of like disc profiling, for example, which is really useful and it's a good tool, but it gives you like a method of thinking, like, oh, they're a engineer's mind, or they're a creative. And that's really limited, because I want to know, what am I going to see? What is their approach to work, and what is underneath? And that's the most important, is what's underneath, because anyone can hold it together for an interview. Anyone can hold it together for a probation period. But realistically, I want to know, what are you going to see in 3, 6, 9, 12 months time? And then reference checking those things.
One of the interesting things we found from doing a test, so the business that was trying to get us to use them for sales recruiting said, oh, why don't you get one of your current employees to do it? And we had a troubled employee at the time. And I said, okay, we'll give it to them and tell them.
It's like a test.
It's a test, yeah. And so they did it, and the company actually rang me back and was like, look, I know we're not working together yet, but if you were a client, we'd tell you to fire them.
There you go. Well, that's a good test, isn't it?
And I said, well, why? And they ran me through it. And one of the things I'd never thought of, I guess, because it's not my job, is they were saying that a lot of the answers were actually correct, but they spent so much time on the answers, you could tell they were trying to kind of fabricate a story of what they should be putting in versus what they're naturally inclined to say. And I think, there's a bit of that in everyone, because most people have to act, or at least be a certain way at work compared to what you're at home.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be a little bit of that, but I think if someone's really struggling at work and they're really trying to fabricate everything they're doing, it's going to lack performance, because that takes their brain power to have this persona of like who they think they've been hired to be,
Yeah. But to play devil's advocate with like that point, like I'll sometimes have a client who'll meet a candidate and they'll say like, oh, they answered this one question, like quote unquote wrong, right? And the question was like, if I told you to do something and you disagreed with it, what would you do? And the candidate goes, oh, well, you're the boss, so I'd do it. And then the boss comes and tells me, oh, I really wanted him to push back and say, well, I would question it. And I'm like, that poor candidate, you don't even know that answer is actually how he would really do it. Or whether, like, you have a person in front of you that is trying to be what you want them to be. This is why I go, this is why I say CVs and an interview is such a limited thing. Because did you give the guy a policy that said, hey, in our business, if we don't believe in something, or we don't understand something, or we disagree with something, we challenge each other. Did you give him that policy? No. So you're just expecting him to guess.
Yeah, of course. Naturally, they're going to say what 90% of bosses want to hear, which is whatever you said's right.
Yeah, he just said the wrong thing to the wrong person. He said the right thing to the wrong guy. You know what I mean? I'm like, these poor candidates. That's why I go, like, don't trick him. This is why really good policies and really good procedures in a company will go so far, because all you had to tell him was that. Because maybe he'd go, what a relief. That's what I want to do. But all my other bosses have said, you shut up and do what I tell you to do. And it's like...
Is that a job ad thing? So like in our business, I just had this conversation the other day. We promoted a new general manager and he was a state manager. And one of the things I said to him was like, in this role, general manager, we need you to say exactly what you're thinking, because we've hired you for your gut feel. So like if you hold that in, we're missing out on part of what you've got to offer this team.
Totally.
So like whatever it is, even if it's something you think I'm doing directly wrong, like just come out with it.
Yeah.
I was going to get in trouble with that. But I've never written that in a job ad.
Is it like you could put it in a job ad, or what I think is better is having a really Marnie, one of her other businesses, she does management training courses, and in it she talks about doing expectation setups. So this is if someone's changing a role or a new manager's coming in, you have like a one-to-one sit down, and it's like a really open dialogue on everything. How do you like to receive feedback and criticism? Like, how often do you want it? What are your expectations of me as a manager? Like, what is a good manager to you? Because a candidate or a staff member could be like a daily meeting, whereas you as a manager is like, what the fuck? Daily? You're lucky if you get it monthly. Like, you've got to get coordinated, because otherwise, if you don't do that, then you've got this expectation where you're like, great, I meet with him monthly, he'll be happy. And the staff member's like, he only meets with me once a month, he must hate me. So it's like getting these expectations out and saying that, because you could have a guy that's like, okay, my job as GM is to take Rick's vision and just execute it. Whatever he wants to do, just execute it. Just shut my mouth down and I'm a doer. I get it done. I get it done for Rick. And then you're like, no, I want you to tell me, like, push me.
It might be a bad idea.
Yeah, be like, I'm an idiot 99% of the time. I need you to be my voice of reason, like whatever it might be. But having staff that, I think the key thing is, does your GM believe in what you're doing? Is he engaged? Is he excited? Because if he's those things, he's going to want to do that. But if you don't have the right person that's not like looking into the future with you and on your side and hungry and excited to go to work, then he's not going to care enough to tell you how he feels or what he's thinking.
I heard or watched one of the best, I saw it as one of the best recruitment stories the other day. So I don't know if you've watched on social media or mainly Instagram, the Franks, I can never remember Frank's brother's name, but the two brothers exited their business for $180 million and all of their reels start with that. We sold our business for $180 million. Now we're doing this. And they're building an AI app and it's called Kinzo. And one of the go-to-market strategies was they hired 3 Gen Z kids to go and pump social media basically. And what they did was say, here's the target. We want 10,000 people on a wait list by this day. And if you meet that target, you get $100,000 split between the 3 of you or one of you if you make it on your own. And long story short, they met it early. They were offered the $100,000, but I'm sure it was part of like the clickbait to make these videos. But what they did was they sat them down and said, "You won your $100,000, it's $33,000 each. Do you want it in cash today?" And they flip a whiteboard and they can take in equity in the business. And all of them took it as equity. And I was like, that's a recruitment story, because you've found 3 absolute believers in your business that aren't just doing it for a paycheck. They're not just doing it for a bonus. They're all working their asses off and they believe so much in the business that like they're all 20, like $33,000 when you're 20 and everyone's telling you, you've got to buy a house, you've got to do this, you've got to invest. And there's all that going on. And you're still saying, no, I'm going to take equity in this business. And you've hired real believers. And if every business, if all staff were like that, you're guaranteed to succeed.
Yeah, I agree. I think having space to bring, and I have bring staff on a journey with you, and I have clients who are like, if they were the right person, I'd give them equity. Always, I'd never promise it up front, ever. Just if it's the right person, absolutely. It doesn't even have to be equity, but like profit share or whatever it might be. But giving someone a real seat at the table, if they're deserving, goes a long way. Absolutely, if it's the right staff. Yeah,
so I think for the average person, right, like most small businesses in Australia are not going to go to a recruiter, right? They're going to sit there and write a job out of them by themselves. Yep. You're saying just CV and interview is not the best way. If you're somebody that's a mum and dad shop or a growing business with no budget, and you're trying to do this on your own, what are some of the twists they can do?
My tips for them, a couple. Yeah. First of all, write a real good ad.
With or without AI?
Yeah, without AI. Fucking hell.
If the dashes are there, we know you used AI. Yeah?
The long dashes. And it's always, I just hate AI voice. They'll be like, you don't just do the thing, you do the thing. Like it's always got the same like little patterns that just sound so wanky. I would just make it really honest. Yeah, a really honest one. But aside from that, is once you have the candidate pool, because some people still get plenty of applicants, it's fine. They don't need to change their ad writing. But is when you have them, like really, I have clients who be like, I got 100 applicants and they're all shit. And I'm like, well, how did you know that they were shit? And they're like, well, their CV was bad. And I'm like, oh, can't judge a person by their CV. Like it's a lot of work. To hire properly is a lot of work. Our job is just always on the phone talking to people. It's very, very manual, our process. But my tip is when you have people in front of you is questions like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Again, straight back to our other thing. They're going to tell you what they think you want to hear. They're not going to tell you, I'm actually really useless before 12 on a Monday and after 12 on a Friday. I'm useless. Like, they're never going to tell you that. They're going to be like, I'm a perfectionist. I don't delegate enough. I would ask them questions around their achievements. I would say, what were you expected to achieve? Tell me about your last role. What were your targets? What were your quotas? What are your KPIs? Like, what was the output that you were expected to achieve? And then how did you go in achieving that? And get tangibles. I'll circle back around to why, but get tangibles, as much tangible, because they'll say, I streamlined processes. Okay, well, what was the process?
Yeah, so it's like dig a bit deeper. Don't let people get away with the surface level answers.
No. And they'll go, well, okay, so what was it? And you go, the invoicing. Okay, well, what is it about the invoicing? Oh, well, it was really manual and I made it better. Okay, well, how long did it take before you fixed it? it took an hour. How long did it take when you fixed it? And like 55 minutes. And you're like, cool. That's not a very streamlined process. Like
It's not a huge achievement.
Yeah, how much did you spend to save that 5 minutes? Like, but they might be like, it took an hour before, but now it only takes 5 minutes. And you're like, whoa, wow, amazing. That's fantastic. Put a pin in it because that is something tangible that you can then reference check. But then how else did they improve the role? Did they save time? Did they save money? Did they figure out some solutions? Did they go above and beyond? Were they promoted? Did they get bonuses? What kind of feedback are they getting? What does their manager say about them? Because all of high performers have those things. They're like, I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this. They're like, wow, that's amazing. They'll have them. But it depends. Remember as well, you've got to say, well, where's your line? Because most people, most jobs just deserve someone that just did what they were told to do. They're like, I was meant to sell 100 pairs of shoes. I sold 100 pairs of shoes. Didn't go above and beyond. Didn't knock anyone's socks off. But I just did what I was expected to do. That's still a good staff member. That's someone that achieves what's expected. You can rely on them. You need them, especially in like admin roles. You don't need every staff member to want to be a GM. But that's my line of questioning around the performance stuff. They will give you performance stuff if they have it. And if they don't, you can tell. They start bullshitting and giving you things that sound pretty, just fluffy words or whatever.
Or stuff someone else achieved.
Yeah, exactly. Or they say we. That's a big one. They say we. And they're talking about a team. Oh, well, we did this. And I'm like, what did you do? Like, what was your part of it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Nail that down. And then I ask them a lot of questions about centricity. I always start my interviews with candidates. It's different when you're an employer hiring for yourself, but I always start with centricity questions. So, like, what are they looking for? And I don't feed them anything because I don't want them to tailor their answers to what they think I want to hear. If they tell me I want loss of work from home and I know my client doesn't have it, I'm going to be like, this isn't the role for you because I want longevity. We're the only recruiters in the world that we can find ever that judge success off 12-month retention, just FYI. So we want longevity. But then like what's the most important to them or what is currently missing in their role that they're hoping the next one will have? And then we do the personality profiling, but I mean, that's not like a tip I can give anyone. But also to test the knowledge. So some people will say, like, if you can figure out ways to test it. Like we had a client that was in cladding and they set up in their like shed, like a wall. And they were like, he's like, how many tradies have you heard say, I can tell by the way they pick up a hammer, whether they're any good. Like, well, then make them pick up a hammer. Like, give them something to do. My cladding client would get them to do like a little bit of cladding in front of him so he can tell at least what the knowledge gap is going to be because you might be happy to train, which you should be, but you want to know how big that gap is. If it's an admin role and you want to see them type, sit them down, ask them to type some stuff, set up a little test, whatever. I have a client that had drafties and he would send them like a little test.
Yeah, you don't see it anymore, but like a words per minute everyone put that in their resume, you know, what their words per minute were typing, but I don't think anyone cares now.
No, maybe not, but I guess most people are pretty good with typing, but like, for example, Excel. People are like, can you use Excel? And they'll be like, yes. And you're like, okay, cool. That is a very broad tool. So I would sit them down and be like, okay, make a sum, make a formula, do this, whatever. But get them to like watch them do it. Because a lot of
I think everyone's going to have something in that role that they can get them to perform in 15 minutes. Or look, if you're a big enough business and people really want to work for you, they'll come in for a whole day and sit there and do something, right? But if, like you were saying before, you got to accept where you are in your business journey. If you're a small business and someone's basically just coming to you for a job, it's not their dream to work at your business. They've never heard of you before. Yeah. They're not going to come and give you a 2-week trial or anything like that. You've got to come up with a task that kind of suits the parameters of that person as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's super necessary to do something major. It can be pretty A to B. But I think that the main thing that I would challenge people on is to look at those preconceived ideas that they might have. Like, what standard am I holding someone to that isn't realistic? Like, I had a client that didn't hire women who had small dogs because he'd been burnt by 2 women that had small dogs. I had another client that hired a girl that wore red lipstick to an interview because she thought that meant she would be bold and confident. Like, people do these stupid things. Yeah. You look at a CV and, like, there's something in it. Even, like, circling back to, like, ethnic names and things. Like, people will just be deterred by things that, like, that's where, as a business owner, you're like, I'm too busy. Like, I just want to be able to look at a CV, be like, that looks good, interview them, they seem fine, and then hire them. And a lot of people don't bother reference checking, which is the nail in the coffin.
I'm terrible at that, yeah.
78% of people lie, Rick. 78%. It's so bad. God, people not reference checking. It's a bee in my bonnet, man. No!
I don't think I've ever done it. I think other people in my business do it now. I don't hire anymore, but I think the guys that do probably do it most of the time.
Yeah, but they're probably just calling. Okay, you have a candidate that gives you a number, and they probably just call that number. Who is that?
Or everyone's got their mate goes, hey, I got to put you down to references. Remember?
Yeah.
Say these.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I saw like a reel and it was a girl being like, I'm my best mate's landlord. I'm her reference. Like
There'll be an AI for that soon.
Exactly.
Given that number, we'll pretend to be your boss.
Yeah, no. Our process is 30% of candidates. Once we've already screened out like 90%, 30% of candidates don't make it through our reference checks. They're so brutal. I have a client that calls it a colonoscopy.
It kind of is.
Yeah, a little. You've got to verify who it is you're talking to.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is you just have no idea.
In a way that can't be bullshitted. Like you've got to navigate around all of that to get to the problem.
Let's say you had a staff member that left you, and I look up your businesses online, and I can see, yep, Rick's MD, okay, cool. And then I have a mobile number, and I'm like, okay, well, that seems good, and I ring it. It could be him with his colleague that works. Just pretend to be Rick, man. Just answer the phone. It's like the Art Vandelay episode of Seinfeld. I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan. And so what you have to do is, first of all, get their permission to do the reference checks. But the first thing is call the company directly and then say, hey, did little Bobby Joe work for you guys? And who was his manager? Was it actually Rick? Because maybe, sure, you're MD.
And what's his real number?
Yeah, and what's his real number? Does his mobile number end in 111? But he also could have given you the first ref check I ever did was the guy's girlfriend, and she worked in HR in the company. That's
kind of real.
Kind of. But then I'm like, why is someone in ops giving me the HR lady as his reference? Like, even if he wasn't the girlfriend, that's a red flag. So I want to know, maybe he didn't report directly to you, and maybe you and little Bobby Joe get along great, but actually he reports to Sam, and Sam's the one that has to put up with him being a pain in the neck every single day. Whereas you're like, yeah, he seemed like a good bloke, but if I actually talk to his manager, he'd be like, don't hire him. He's a pain in the butt.
I can say from my experience, it's just the time that it takes to do all that.
I know.
And we convince ourselves that it's like, I'll just breeze through and hope for the best. But you waste the same or more amount of time.
100%. Do you want to know now or later? That's my question. Do you want to know now or later?
Yeah.
It's like, I know. People either they don't know what to ask that would be valuable, so they think there's no point in calling them, or they go, why would they give me someone that would say something bad about them? Better not even bother calling. Or they're so desperate and they've fallen in love with the candidate that they just literally, fingers crossed, it'll be fine. Don't bother
I was told that when you're giving a reference check, when you are the person being called, that there's some rules around that in Australia, what you can and can't say.
Yeah. What we do, so when you got the person on the phone, what we're doing, remember I told you put the pin in it earlier? Yeah, straight away. I'm like, okay, so what was his target? What was he expected to achieve? And they go, 100 pairs of shoes. And I go, cool. What did he achieve? And they go, I guess 100. Like every month. He maybe missed one or two, but yes, every month. I go, interesting. He told me he got 120 pairs every single month. And no, he's lying. So once you have something that's tangible, it's not like an opinion-based thing. It's not an opinion-based
I think that's what it is, right? You can't give opinion. You can't go, I didn't like him because you went for the wrong footy team, you know?
Yeah, or it's not, what do you think of him? Did you like him? It's not that. I want to know, he's told me one thing and you can't feed answers. I can't say, he said he sold 100 pairs of shoes and the guy's like, yep, cool. Like, you've got to not feed them the answers. You've got to ask, what was his target? What did he achieve? That's interesting. Does it match up with what I have? Are you lying or is Rick lying? Who's lying? Yeah, you got to be a little detective about it. Yeah. And then we also reference check the personality profile points too.
Which is the value of using a recruiter, right? Because it's...
Well, no, because they don't fucking... You think a recruiter's
not
doing...
all recruiters.
You think a recruiter's going to tell you ever not to hire my candidate?
Well, if they've recycled someone so many times, why would they bother reference checking?
Well, why would they bother reference checking at all? There's literally... might have actually even been... I'm not going to say his name, but he's on a picture outside the room. Actually, he used to be a recruiter, and he told me once, did a reference check on a candidate, came back bad, and his manager said throw it out and get another one. That's recruitment. Well, you think they're going to go around and tell you don't hire this candidate? No, they would be like, you're crazy not to. This is oh my god, this is so crazy. This is the best candidate I've ever seen. Yeah. Exactly, they have a vested interest in selling this candidate. They are tied to this candidate.
Yeah, it's like we've got a live fish right here.
Yeah.
And instead of looking for another one, we can just find someone to buy this one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if we accept the world for what it is, which we have to do every day, and we accept that people are going to look at a CV and probably do one interview and maybe no reference checks, why don't we talk about the other side of the fence of being the person? Because the best resume I've ever read was our current CEO's. And the reason I loved it was so factual and there was only a little bit about the wishy-washy kind of crap. And then it was just like, this is my KPI. This is my target. I hit that this day at this time. this was the growth, and this is who you can reference check.
Is that not what I said my process is? Is that not exactly it?
Yeah, and I was like banging. I was like, this guy's hard. He came from a recruiter as well.
Yeah. Okay.
He was actually a guarantee one from one that didn't work out.
You got a good deal.
And
That's
the guy even rang me and was like, listen, I'm giving you this because I don't want there to be bad blood, but this guy's like the guy. And normally I'd give him to whoever's, he didn't say it, but I'm assuming whoever would pay him the most. But he gave it to me for a guarantee. But he did say, I've got to charge you a little bit because his salary was way more than, it was like the BDM was the original higher fee and it was the CEO. So I said, no worries. And we threw him a few bucks, whatever. But
sounds like you got a good deal.
Yeah. And so, but that's, I think, resume writing. So we take about 300 resumes a month on month for like 5 years. We advertise every month. We take between 200 and 300 resumes a month. And so I've seen every good and bad resume. I think that most people would, even if they're a recruiter, like we go through a lot, right? And one thing I've realized is not enough people put value on cover letter and resume because sometimes when we've been in a pinch and we're like, so 2021, we hired 150 people in 1 year and it was brutal. And we got to the point where we were trying to fill a new client. And so we were like just ringing everyone. And a lot of the people that had filled in ads just didn't even have a resume or CV. It was just like, hi, my name's whatever. I'm looking for a job. Call me on this number. And we're like,
yeah,
give them a go.
Yeah.
And what it turned out to be, a lot of them who actually were good hires in the end were, there's this category. So insecurity, right? Very boring, need reliable people to sit and stare and watch paint dry all night and not fall asleep, right? So during
fall asleep. That's a low bar, man.
It's a low bar, yeah, but a very important one. And so during COVID, what happened was all the pubs and clubs got shut down, right? So there's always like mid-50s, early 60s Islander guys who had known nothing but pubs their whole lives and now they don't have a job. They have no idea how to write a resume. They've worked for a mate for 20 years, so they've just jumped on Seek. And they're some of the best hires we ever made.
Totally.
But they didn't even know how to write a resume or cover letter, let alone
their job
a
is
good
not
one.
resume writing, so what would they have an amazing?
But not everyone's going to look at it that way. So if we look at it in the real world, the emphasis is everybody wants to make more money, either in the same business or a new one. But it's all going to come down to how you explain your own value to that business. Because I'm sure you would agree, I don't know a single business owner that goes, I'm hoping to hire less qualified people.
Yeah.
Like everyone's looking for better people or the same people to do a more or better job than what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
I often tell people if they're trying to get a pay rise, like pretty much anyone can get a pay rise in the business unless you're working for a government agency or a massive corporate where it's just a ladder.
And
there's no manager you can sit down and go, I want 10 grand a year. But if you are in that position, you can get that money. You just don't know how to communicate it.
Yeah. Or you have to be worthy of it.
No, of course, yeah. But even if you're not, it would only take 6 months. Read 5 books on the subject matter you're employed to cover.
Yeah.
And write your resume better, and you're pretty much there.
Yeah. There's the same Instagram push that I was telling you about where they give advice to people, and they talk about like, if you're being paid to 5 o'clock, you don't do a minute of overtime, and if they try and give you another another duty and you say that's not in my job description unless you want to give me a raise. Like, how do I say that in corporate speak? And they'll be like, I really appreciate the opportunity to take on more. However, my compensation is going to have to be, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
In the real world, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
In small business, it's like you should have the attitude. I don't know. This is just me. This is how I think, is like, how can I help? What kind of impact can I make? I tell you, the happiest people at work are the ones that are making the biggest impact and are of service and of help to other people. I'm like, you have already applied for the job. You've already interviewed for the job. You've already gotten the job. You've already got trained on the job. You're already waking up in the morning. You're already getting dressed. You're already getting to work and you're already there. You've done all of that. Just do a good job. You'll feel so much better. Like, just do a good job. And then honestly,
it is an investment, right? And like any investment, the payoff is not on day one.
No.
You can't ask for the money now and then promise that you'll do the next few years of whatever you're saying. It's like buying a house. It's like buying stocks. You have to put something in now, which takes the risk that you might not get what you've asked for.
Yeah.
But that's just the world we live in.
Yeah, but also you go, well, look at like the really high performer salespeople. So many of them are like, no base comms only, no worries. And you know why? Because they know that they'll make it. Yeah. Like, it's when you have that confidence in yourself, they're like, no worries, I'll prove myself. And so it's back to your question about like candidates with CVs, is like exactly what your CEO did. What's your value? What have you achieved? What have you done? Because everybody puts soft skills. Oh my God. Soft skills. I mean, I barely even like read resumes anyway, honestly. The one thing I look out for resumes is tenures. Because I do agree, when I count sometimes and someone's had 6 roles since 2020, I'm like, what happened? Yeah, got like nothing good. Like, it just can't be. And of course, I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt, and I will always like do a little bit of digging if there's something there. But like,
either they're a
honestly,
terrible
there's a
employee or an
line.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, there's something, or they just don't know what they want.
Or they need
just don't know what they
ADHD
want.
meds.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what is it? Like, if there's something there, and so many of my clients are super deterred by it. Not recruiters, but my clients. And it's, what's your value? What's your impact? What are you capable of? That's what I would talk about. Like, my target was this and I did this. I improved this process. What was the actual impact of that process? And if you're, you know what I would love to see is like, this is what my manager says about me, quote, I'm so glad you're here, end quote. Imagine that you walk in the room and your manager's like, oh, thank God you're here. Like, I would put that in my CV. Like, this is the impact I make to my manager, because that's so different to what everybody else talks about. Back to attitude, or personality, performance, and knowledge. Everyone talks about knowledge. And I'm like, of those three things, it's the one that matters the least. What is your personality impact? What is your performance? And I'm like, that to me. But again, like, I barely look at CVs. I have to dig to find this information. But that is my advice. And look at how well it worked. He's now your CEO, and it's like rightfully so. If you're amazing but you have to make impacts to do that.
Yeah, I think people are, especially in interviews, people are scared to talk about their goals and I guess why they're leaving their last job as well. Because for a lot of people, it's either they don't like someone there or whatever. They say people leave the managers,
business, yeah.
Or they just want more money and that business can't offer it. Some people just want more money to do the same thing, which is probably not always what happens, but that's the last person you want to hire probably that wants to do.
Yeah, or they want the same money. Yeah, or they want the same money that they're on for less.
Yeah.
Like, they want, I want to do less and I want to work fully remote. And I'm like, well, then shouldn't you take a bit of a step back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, for a lot of people, I mean, everyone's trying to make more money. And the truth is most pay rises barely keep up with the economy. So if you're not chasing that, then you are just going to more or less grow at the same time your house value does or whatever, and you're never going to really get ahead. But if you are somebody who's sitting there going, I'm pretty sure I can increase my value either in this business or another, and I've got to look for a job for it. For me, if I read a CV that was saying that directly, that's going to interest me, because you're looking for people that are like, hey, I'm actually trying to do more, and all I'm looking for is an opportunity with someone who's going to let me. They're going to pay me for it, obviously, but I'm trying to do more. And I think for a lot of people, everyone's happy to work more hours in Australia. We have a really good working culture. The government's doing some weird stuff about not being able to call you.
The right to switch off. I'm like, who's this for? Because it's not small business.
Yeah, it's not at all. So, there are some people that fit in that category, but I think a lot of people, a lot of Australians, hardworking cultures, they just want to.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Not everyone, but there is that attitude of, I just want to get what I deserve, what I feel like I'm owed.
Yeah, I guess what I have to say about this, I guess, like, I see obviously meet a lot of candidates, and I feel like there is a view, and that you have so many people now offshoring roles, and I feel like there's so much offshore roles are often they're so much more grateful for the work.
They are.
Yeah, and that's why I go, Aussies sometimes, we're just a little bit entitled, I think, sometimes. And I feel like years and years ago, you used to get a check. It was a physical check for your work at the end of the week or end of the month or whatever. And you would take your physical check to the physical bank, and then you would get physical cash, and then you go pay your bills and pay for your groceries and everything's physical. We now live in like an invisible world where your bills are on auto pay. You don't recognize it. Your money just goes into the account, and then you just pay for stuff on your card. And then the correlation between the money that you're earning and the food on your table for your family is far more invisible. And I feel like there used to just be so much more of an appreciation for having a job and like pride in having a job. And I just feel like there's a bit of a change in that. And when you think about a client is someone that gives you money for a service. So realistically, if you are an employee, your boss is giving you money for a service. In a huge way, they're your client. And we don't have that viewpoint. You as a business owner, how do you feel about your clients? Are you not like so grateful? Do you not just like love them and want to pinch their little cheeks and just be like, I'm so grateful for you. I love you so much and I want to make you happy. And I'm like, I don't like, there are people that love the business owners and stuff like that. And you should, as much as you can, you should work for people that you believe in and that you're excited by and that you love. But yeah, a lot of people are just like, fuck the boss. Yeah. Boss makes $1 and I make a dime, and that's why I poop on company time. Like,
yeah. I've heard so there's always rumors in our business with so many people, like especially such a wide, you've got some people that are on $23 an hour minimum wage, and then the whole spectrum in between. And so rumors start. It happens in every business, right? And we had one recently where a client and a staff member started talking about how much we charge them on site or something, and the client didn't know how much we actually charged, and the number they gave was like double what we actually
way
charged.
off.
But then they told the employee, didn't
And
hear
the
that.
employee's
So he
like,
starts doing the
getting
maths. He's
robbed.
like, these
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Screwing me.
Yeah, he's like, I'm on this and they're getting that. And they're like, it started this whole thing. And we're like, dude, I'll show you the invoice.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do the maths. I'll show you how much our insurance costs.
Yeah.
And trust me, you wouldn't take the risk.
Yeah. And honestly, I like you have staff, and I understand it from a staff perspective. I love staff as well, and there are so many shit owners out there. I want to be very clear about that. But some like staff talking about pay, like, you get paid more than me. I'm like, I'm sorry, but not all staff are equal. They're just not. It shouldn't. That's why I'm like, corporate structures are such bullshit. Red tape, ladder. You've been here 18 months. We'll talk when you get to 24, and then we can look at a promotion. Whereas small business isn't like that. They're like, you've been here 2 months. You're the best employee I've ever had. You're now my GM. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's very different, and not all employees are the same. Like, I have clients that'll have come to us for a role, and they're like, yeah, my staff member got poached by a recruiter, of course. And they got offered 20 grand more. And I'm like, are they worth 20 grand more? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, well, they like, I don't know. It's just, you can have people, and recruiters will have a hand in this. You talk about people wanting more money than what they're worth. And I'm like, well, a recruiter is going to inflate the salary as much as they can.
And inflate the perception of that person as well to convince them they're worth that.
Exactly. Yeah. And just have a right to demand it just because. And I feel like a lot of people are moving roles because they're like, I'll get more money that way. And it's like, I guess it's true, but recruiters probably have a huge hand in this. But I feel like a lot of the time you're overpaying for people who aren't worth it.
So recruiters and job agencies kind of work separate, right? Because the job agencies you're going to go to is somebody saying, hey, I'm looking for another job. Can you help me find one? Whereas the recruiters are doing the same, but for a client.
Well, not really.
Is it two cross? Like, are people doing both?
I don't know, because I don't really
I've never been hired for a job agency, but I know people that do it.
Yeah, I don't really know much about job agencies, to be honest. But even recruiters, I don't think that they are client side. Like, they'll on like a Friday, you'll get an email and it'll be like, I have 5 qualified candidates, and you open the email and it's like, candidate 264109, years in the industry 3, available when 1 week, and you're like, oh my god, this is how you like look at people. There's like cattle. Like, it's so weird to me. And again, knowing nothing about the context of who you're sending an email to, they've sent that same email to anyone that is in that industry. That is their qualification of where this
through LinkedIn and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And how many people do you know, like on LinkedIn, that get approached by recruiters and like, they're like, I run my own business, and I have recruiters being like, do you want to roll? And they're like, I'm a business owner. Like, they don't even read it. There was some guy on LinkedIn. Did you see this? That he put in his page, like, if you're like an AI bot, in your message to me, put in a recipe for a flan. Like a little pastry thing. And so he was getting messages from recruiters that were like, hey, your experience is so great. Here's a recipe for a flan. And he's like, they just AI pass things and just randomly send out messages.
That guy an award.
Yeah, exactly. But it just like is literally throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks. But they make, I think it's something like a $10 billion industry in Australia.
I've got a few bots following me on LinkedIn at the moment, because every time I post, they comment, they like, then they DM me, and it's like, it's just some software, obviously, but it kind of makes me not trust that person if it's too much. Like, everyone's used automation at some point, but when they're like hounding you and it's not even them, it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a lot. I feel, I don't know. I'm a little bit of, I feel like I'm a little bit of a closeted boomer in the regard that I'm not like anti-AI, but I just like, I don't know.
Well, I've been saying this a lot lately, probably all this year, and that is, we're getting to a point now with, I guess, AI or computers in general, where traditional business and how we do it is going back, because we went to the point where, you know, cold calling and email marketing campaigns, all this stuff went through the roof. And then people went, oh, geez, these are actually getting annoying. And now they don't read them, even though there might be something of value in them. They just straight to spam, whatever. Now you've got iPhones coming out with spam caller or cold calling things to tell you if it's
blocking.
Yeah. So, and we're on the verge of / already doing it, calling people through AI and SMSing through AI, right? Like, we've got a software we can SMS people and they never know it's AI.
Yeah.
So we're probably not far from people just not trusting that again.
Oh, yeah.
And now, even though we have all these new tools, to actually do business with someone, like for you to win a client, it's like, oh, I'm going to meet him at an event where a guy I do trust is going to say, yeah, you have to.
Real. Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't trust anyone.
Yeah, I know. I remember, apparently they're even like putting size in. So when they call you, they're like, so it sounds like a real person. Like, you think, and it's a fully AI thing. But I remember it was like 4 years ago, and I remember being on the M4 and I got a call and I was like, this is the weirdest call I've ever had. And I was like, oh, are you? I was like, are you a machine? And it like was like, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. And I was like, say purple monkey dishwasher. And she's like, can you repeat that? And I'm like, and that was not good. But yeah, that was years ago. So it's much more refined now. But yeah, you wouldn't even know. And that's like terrifying. But I think you're right. The good part about it is business to business and business owners, I think, is now going back to like, if I haven't met you in person.
Or know someone that does know you.
Been referred. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the networking groups and stuff kind of kick off again because they also got butchered. You know, it was just a business card frenzy, and it got abused, so people stopped trusting them.
Totally. You must feel pretty good being in an industry that's pretty safe from AI.
It is and it isn't. So, so we use a lot of AI in our business, but we do it mainly because, I'll trash talk my industry now. We'll keep it fair. So security is like not mostly, but I'd say majority still, more than 50% cash paid. So if any pub or club you walk into, the guy you're staring at is like 3 subbies along from the contract holder, getting paid cash, the whole lot, right?
Yeah.
Like guaranteed. Every pub and club in Australia, I guarantee it. There's no question about it, right? So we just can't operate there because we charge the award rates. So, the average award at the moment for a guy to stand at a pub is like $60 an hour, but their average pay is 25 to 30, and then the company will charge about 45, 55 like at the most, whereas we're coming in like, hey, public holidays are $110 an hour, and we get laughed at, right? So so taking that, we had to go, well, what can we do? So we invented camera systems that do AI security functions and things like that. And so instead of having a security guard sit at your warehouse all night, we just put in AI systems that can monitor for fire and smoke and and threats. If someone jumps a fence, it alerts them, and then we send a patrol car out. So it's kind of like, it's slower.
Like hologram.
Oh, people are trying all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's robots now, and these like little car things that drive around with cameras on them. I'm like, dude, people ram us.
Yeah.
Like our cars get rammed all the time, right? Or someone tries to drive over you while you're walking around. What are they going to do to that robot?
I know.
They're just going to run over it, and it's 120 grand down the toilet.
Yeah, it's really funny. I see all the stuff online about like I don't know if you can't call it racism, but like racism to robots, where they're like just really mean to them, and I think they call them like clankers and stuff, and it's just so funny.
Yeah, but all that will boom, and it will take jobs, and then it will die off. It's going to have to, because at the end of the day, we love technology, just in general, right? Like the new iPhone comes out, and it's like the exact same phone as last year, and it's $3,000, and everyone still runs and buys them all for no reason other than to say, I've got the new phone. And so it's the same in every industry, I think. And you see that every industry has consultants for that industry. So, recruiters will have someone who was a recruiter for 20 years now is a consultant for recruiting companies. And they're normally the people I see pushing a lot of that stuff as well, because it's kind of like they're keeping themselves relevant. It's the modern thing, so they've got to push it into businesses. But, I mean, you can't replace everyone. We have an AI phone calling software for welfare checks and things like that because it's not going to affect anyone. If it's a AI or a person calling you saying, hey, you're still alive, the same result. So it will replace things like that, which doesn't take that person's job away because they've just got other stuff to do now.
Yeah.
It's like packing shelves at Woolies. Like that could have all been robots a long time ago. I don't know if they're going to now, but they got rid of all the checkouts. They just hired more people to stock the shelves, and then they did home deliveries and put them all there. No one actually lost jobs.
Yeah, I guess that's just my worry, watching all the driverless cars around like LA and stuff.
Oh, Uber will be gone. I was in an Uber the other day, and there was this really nice guy from Zimbabwe, I think. Anyway, and he was saying he came here 20 years ago. He was a taxi driver, and then taxis died, so he went to Uber. And I'm like, there's no next Uber, bro. Like, when that's automated, your job's gone. Like, there's no next step.
The guys washing the self-driving cars.
Or like chauffeuring when they put the water in it or something, like. So yeah, it is going to change industries. I don't think it's going to replace them though, because I mean, like jobless rates and stuff are pretty much staying the same through most technology booms.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, because it terrifies me.
Well, recruiting is going to be safe because it's people are, I say now in our business all the time that, we all have our unique ways of doing business, but there's one thing our biggest competitor absolutely cannot copy, and that is our formulation of staff.
Yeah.
They can poach 1 or 2 people or whatever, but like how we operate as a team is unique in our customer service that they just can't copy tomorrow. And so I think every good business knows that, but it's getting that formula right.
Yeah, it is.
Throw a bad person in the mix.
Yeah, it's weird to me. It's weird how people can be so casual about it when I'm like, it's literally the blood of your business, and you don't you don't reference check, so I should be scolding you, but like you don't.
I did say I've made bad decisions.
Yeah, that is true, and you've gotten lucky. But like I'm like, what do you mean your process for screening the blood that's going into your body is like nothing?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So tell me a bit about your business journey. So obviously you're with your sister. So is that a funny relationship working with your sister, or
no? We're so very lucky. It's very yin and yang. What she's really good at and what she wants to do is what I am not good at and what I don't want to do, and vice versa. So we're very, very lucky.
Yeah.
We're
Have
very
you read
close.
that book?
I haven't. I've been given that book.
Yeah, okay.
Marnie, see, this is where Marnie is great. She's such a consultant. She read like everything. She's always like, Maddie, you need to read this book. Maddie, you need to read this book. She's very like on it. And
that is a good book. That's what you're describing. It's the two personalities of an implementer and a visionary. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah,
it's exactly it. That's why when people call me entrepreneurial and stuff, I'm like, I feel like I'm not. But again, my coach, if he's listening to this, I'm sorry. I'm going to change my language around. But yeah, she's so entrepreneurial. And that's why it's good, because she's such a head in the clouds person and I'm such an implementer.
Well, someone's got to grab it and pull it to the ground and go, that was the other 9 sucked, but this one was good. So, but someone's got to run with it now and actually put it in and build a process around it and make it work. Yeah, get it to a customer. She's
great with like the whole, like I am like, give me a lane and give me my job, and I'm really good at it. I'm super like predictable. I'm always on time, very reliable and real routine. Whereas she's so annoyingly not routine. It's so irritating.
That's me, yeah.
It's most business owners, most like founders, most entrepreneurs, crazy people. And and she's so good with like even like marketing stuff. I'm like, that's kind of stuff I hate it. And I like trying to think about that stuff and like our branding and our comms, and I have no interest. I'm like, that is such side fluff that is not the actual doing. I just want to do the doing. But it's so important. Like your brand is everything, and how you communicate it is everything. So it's great. I'm very, very fortunate that we work so well together, because I've seen so many people that should not go into business with family.
Yeah, well, the whole idea of Rocket Fuel as a book, it's around the EOS system, but what it comes down to is every great business has both of those relationships. You can't have one or the other. Both are bleed into each other. Like no one's 0 of one and 100 of the other, but it's when you get both, because like I'm your sister 100% by the sounds of it. You know, Crazy Domains, where you buy like your web domains.
Yeah.
They rang me the other day and they're like, hey, you've got like 74 domains to renew.
He has so many.
And I'm like, oh, don't worry about that one. Just don't tell anyone about them.
Yeah.
I bought them when I had an idea, you know. Like
I think she has like Jones Sisters or something like that. And she's like, I've still got that. When we're ready to do something else, I've still got it. And she'll do the same thing. That's so funny.
I've got so many of them, but it's all those ideas.
I would never even think to buy a domain. Like you see, I'm like, I'm not like this.
But you hype yourself up. You're like, oh, that's a good idea. And if I decide to run with it and someone else gets the domain, and then like before you know it, you've got all these ideas and I've got logos and like, but I think that's part of you can't fight against it. You got to accept it, because while I'm distracted for that couple hours diving into a business I'm never going to have, it's kind of like a break from all shit that I do have to deal with.
Yeah.
I think everyone's got those coping mechanisms. I don't know. For you, I would assume it would be skiing. Maybe you go back to that for a break. But
not really. I think because I'm so even though I'm 34, I'm so quote unquote like really new in my like proper career. Because even when I was building the business with Marnie, I only became a director like end of last year. So it's almost been a year. And that I really changed a lot. Like I took on all of the bookkeeping, I did all payroll, I did all blah, 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 blah. And it really changed.
But that is your personality, not hers.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, actually, invoicing and stuff is really predictable and like easy.
And you can like hone the process and be satisfied with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I've that changed me a lot in that last year. But before that, I feel like I was just an employee. So I feel like I don't feel like I need much of a break right now. I'm really excited about what I'm doing. Plus, because I live in the mountains with the birdies and the fairies, and then I come to Sydney and I wear my suit and tie, I have this real dichotomy in my life. So I get a lot of switch on, switch off, switch on, switch off, and I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I ride motorbikes and I embroider like a motherfucker. I know I keep swearing.
I saw that. So
yeah.
Let's bring up the salt and pepper shakers.
Oh my God. Hey, you did your research.
How did this even start?
So I guess it actually, you know what? It's almost like a sling, because I had years doing those 4 moves a year. I didn't have even a chest of drawers. Like my whole life was skiing. I had a ski bag and I had a suitcase. and I just traveled. So I couldn't ever have things. I couldn't have a house plant. I couldn't like have things. And my style is very much maximalist. And so then I had a house and I started buying stuff, and I'm just a mad woman. Like I collect so many things, and one of which is my salt and pepper shaker collection. Oh my God. I started an Instagram page for it. It's called Salt and Pepper Shakers if anybody wants to follow it. But yeah, I just love them. I love like vintage, like antique.
Is that something people are still making now? Because you've got some crazy looking ones.
I don't want to know about the modern ones.
Okay, yeah.
About them.
Yeah.
It has
Only
to be
the old school stuff.
Yeah, it has to be old.
And so that's not going to be easy to find.
They're
in
not
good condition.
eBay. Yeah. It's not. I know, but it's probably a good thing. I'm on a bit of a ban at the moment from buying anymore. I went a little bit crazy.
Is that self-inflicted, or your partner's like, oi?
No, I make the money in the relationship between my partner and I. He's
I'll have all the salt and pepper shakers I want.
So he doesn't tell me what I can and can't buy. He's amazing. He's a graphic designer. He's amazing. He works for himself. He's such an artist. And yeah, he was still asleep, and I was in bed, and I had a set that I'd had my eye on for so long, but it was $400, and I was like, I can't spend $400 on a salt and pepper shaker. And then it just got me in the right mood in the morning, and I bought it. And I literally had to wake him up to be like, I've done something terrible. And it's just like a camel, and it's 2 humps.
That was the one I saw that I was like, now we're talking. I'll own that one. Yeah, that's hilarious.
That I've been on a ban since then. So yeah, I don't know. I just love it. I love art. Well, Pat's a massive artist, and I'm an artist as well. And our house is just like filled. Everyone always comes and says, "Oh, this house is so you guys," because literally it's we have hundreds of pieces of art in the house. Like we're running out of wall space. So yeah, I'm just a bit of a.
It's always cool to. I mean, yeah, you need that break, right? And so to have something that's small that you can add to a collection. My dad went nuts on flip knives at one point. He's got like 7 Pelican cases full of. He's like 300 knives. You know, it's like
that. Look, I'm gonna say to each their own and leave it there. That's knives are a different thing. I mean, like I love how weird and wonderful people are. Everyone has a thing. Like I walk in straight away, you're like F1. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I know something about you. Do you know what I mean? Like I love that people, and I always like see random people on the street, and I'm like, they've got a thing. Like what's their thing? Yeah.
Some people don't though.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, more women than men, I find. Like most men have a thing, and they're all cliche, boring men shit.
NRL.
Yeah, go to the pub,
drinking beers with the boys,
or slapping the pokies. But I think women maybe suffer a bit more from.
I agree.
Not having hobbies.
I think I noticed that a lot. I mean, being a skier, I was always surrounded by it. It was always like it's actually changed a lot recently. There's way more girls doing seasons now, but when I was growing up, in my 20s, there was like one girl to like 10 guys.
How did that make you feel? Because I mean, it's on the, I don't want to go down that route, but you hear a lot about, I get women empowerment. I don't know what everyone would call it, where, they're trying to offset the imbalance that there is in men and women. But to me, I'm pretty neutral. Like I'm a very non-biased person. I just look at it as, well, most women just don't want to do that stuff. But
yeah, I think
for the women that do, I mean, you were just saying you were there. How did that feel not having other women?
Well, look, you can kind of, it's a mindset thing, really. I mean, that's why I went and made the film that I made, the women's film, because I was like, well, let's make something for us then. Why not? But there's also benefits to that. I mean, do you know how easy it is to go and sell an all-female movie to people because it's not been done before? So I almost got, and I wasn't, like, I'm a good skier or whatever, but I got sponsorship opportunities and I got, like, free stuff all the time just because I was a girl in a niche that there weren't anyone else. So I'm like, you can turn around and complain, and there's inequality and things like that, which, yes, I'm not saying that's not a thing. That is definitely a thing, whatever. But for me and I'm like, well, there's also benefits. I got way more. Like there would be guys that are infinitely better skiers than I am by a country mile that will never get a quarter of the opportunities I do simply because I'm a girl. So you can kind of find ways to use it to your advantage as well. I think it's just kind of a mindset thing. If you want to just, I'm not going to.
So you might regret telling me this, but you've got a record of some sort.
I do, actually. Yes.
I've never actually ridden a snowmobile.
A snowmobile.
Isn't that what you said you did on?
No. It was just on skis.
Oh, on skis. Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And so how was it backflipping? I've never backflipped anything, but I've always wanted to. I was a BMX kid.
Oh, there you go.
I was always too scared to do it.
Oh my God, if I backflipped a ski mobile, that would have been the coolest.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah, no. No, I'm the only girl in the world so far to do a naked backflip on skis.
And
So-
how do you set that up though? Is it kind of like everyone turn around, or it's just like we're here and I'll just go fast?
No, yeah. So I usually at the top of I've done it twice. I've actually done it Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. I did it once.
Oh,
in
so
Colorado.
not like on the mountain here. Like,
I did once in Colorado and once.
was
in
it Red Bull sponsored? Did you have a helmet on or something?
Sticker on my ass. No, it's you usually it's a logistical nightmare because you got ski boots on, so you got to get out of your ski boots on the snow and take everything off. You need a good friend that will hold your clothes for you, and then you just quickly do it and you tell everyone to stop moving, you're dropping next, and then you just go and then you ski off into the trees and your friend will meet you, put your clothes back on.
Yeah, wow.
Because it's like, I don't know if it's I guess it's illegal. Like you can't just be naked in public.
Well, yeah, if it's a public slope, yeah.
Yeah, like they would kick me out for sure, but luckily it didn't happen. But yeah, it's pretty hyped up on adrenaline, and you just got to be slower than you normally would because you're also very aerodynamic. So you move a lot quicker and you're like scared and excited and whatever.
You feel pretty free as well because
Yeah.
you're used to skiing and all this bulky stuff.
Yeah, you're going fast. But yeah, it was.
You wouldn't want to crash.
No, the first one I did, I over rotated a little bit and landed a little bit on my butt, but still skied out of it and had a little bit of a like ice burn. The first time I tried it, actually, I fully crashed. I've done it 3 different times, and the first one I crashed, but the next 2 were good. But yeah, it's my claim to fame.
I find it interesting that skiing was such a big part of your life and you kind of left it behind. But I guess you're so passionate about what you're doing now that there's no place for it, or maybe no room for it.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, actually. It's a bit like, and I'm so glad I feel this way because I would hate the pain of feeling like I wish I was skiing. But I literally feel like I've been there and I've done that. That's how I feel. Like I went skiing this year and I was like, yeah, I'm excited. And then I got on, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I remember it to be.
Done this 1,000 times.
Done this 1,000 times. Yeah, I could do it. Like, you want me to go skiing? Okay, I'm skiing. Like, I could picture it right now.
I guess it becomes less challenging the more you do it. So I've always been a motorbike rider, but I mean, it's easy to re-challenge yourself because there's always another hill climb to go up or a bigger jump to go over, or you're doing it with mates. It can be a group thing.
Yeah.
Skiing is too, I guess, but
it is. But that's a growth thing. So for years, I was like, okay, I want to learn the next trick. I want to learn that. I don't want to do that anymore. So that's probably where it comes out of it. I just don't have the desire to push myself. It hurts. Like as you get older, you're like, and I've got like a bit of an arthritic knee and stuff. Look, if I had friends going on a trip to Japan, that'd be different. There's like more to do. But even in Australia, it's so expensive. It's so busy. It's so saturated. I'm like, I just don't.
Do you know about the indoor ski resort they're building in Perth?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met the guy behind all that a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
What do they call it? Something, I can't remember. Anyway, Western Sydney, something, indoor ski, something.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, 365 days a year, full ski slope, hotels looking over the snowy mountain, like it's full on, whole play area for kids. And I think they said the build cost is like $800 million.
Yeah, it would be insane. Oh, the running costs would be nuts.
They reckon they're opening net zero. And I'm like, no, not.
Yeah.
You are lying.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, we do not have the technology to run a place that big.
And in Penrith.
And it'd be the bullshit offset things. Like, oh, but we planted 50 trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
We bought some of China's carbon. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Some
That's
offset,
pretty crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be exciting. Be cool for Penrith.
Yeah, well, obviously it's more of a family thing. But what they were also saying, I went to like a presentation for it. And because it's starting this year.
Yeah.
So full build starts next year, I think. But yeah, that's I think 2 years or something will be done.
Wow.
And what they were saying is for people like yourself through your career where you were traveling everywhere to ski, you can just go there every day of the year professionally. They're claiming not the same thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But they reckon the quality of snow or whatever they're producing is meant to be as realistic as it can. And the idea, professionally is that it will promote more people in that sport. But then obviously it's just for a landmark attraction, within your airport coming and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see. I don't know.
Maybe you can get a gig. First girl to do a backflip
There, I haven't done one for a few years. Just
at
go
the indoor snow resort. Yeah.
guns blazing. Let's go. Coming out of retirement.
Salt and pepper shaker in each hand if you get down the hill. Yeah,
Love
good
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you for coming in today. It was a pleasure to meet you. And it's always nice to meet somebody shaking up an industry. You can tell your passion. And I think that's where, the best things come from is somebody going, you know what, this is broken. We can fix it.
Yeah, I love
Simple
it.
as that.
I'm glad it comes across.
Great. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Rick.